Hey guys, it's History Behind the Warrior, and welcome to another God of War video. With us still coming off the History of Zeus, should definitely give that a watch by the way. Today we'll be going back to the Norse series of games, and talk about a very important figure that we are yet to see, the last guardian of Jotunheim, and former wife of Kratos, Faye. Now, before we talk about Faye and her ties to the giants, I just wanted to say once again, thank you for all of the incredible support on the God of War content. It has been insane. But before we do kick off, if possible guys, I would super appreciate it if we could get this video to about 500 likes. It not only helps support the channel, but also gives this video that extra push right out of the gate. Also, if you like what we do here and wish to see more, please don't forget to subscribe and tick that bell, as it will keep you up to date with all of my content. Now, without any further ado, let's get on to talking about Faye. Now, whilst for a majority of 2018's game, Faye is known as a human, she is in fact something so much more. Faye in fact derives from the realm of Jotunheim, the realm of the giants, and while she is referred to as Faye, her real name is Laufey, a bit of wordplay on her mythological counterpart. So in this universe, Laufey could easily be referred to as Laufey. The early years of Faye's life is shrouded in mystery, as many of the Jotuns lived out of the public eye. But what we do know of Faye is that she was a formidable warrior, even amongst the giants. In fact, her skills spread so far throughout the land that she is considered a legend amongst the Aesir, with even Thor going out of his way to try and hunt her down. And while she was a strong combatant, Faye was known for her compassion and is held up in very high esteem by many as the just guardian of Jotunheim, a myth that would spread throughout the 9 realms. As expected, due to her incredible strength and formidable skill, Faye would be given a great honor by her people, gaining the mantle of Guardian of Jotunheim, a prestigious title where she would protect her people from all outsiders that may do them harm. She would ward off the likes of any that crossed her path, and fulfilled her role for many years. Jotunheim was safe and all seemed well, especially after their feud with the Aesir halted, as the Raven King Odin married Freya of Vanaheim. The realms were at peace, but this would very quickly change. Whilst Odin had taken on more of a passive role, with one of his sons, Tyr, going out to unite the 9 realms and beyond, the Allfather would come to learn of Asgard's apocalypse. When he learned of his destined fate to perish on its final day, he would take every possible precaution to avert his demise. And this is where his gaze fell to Jotunheim. Knowing of the Jotuns' abilities to see into the future, he would attempt to steal their ability of foresight. But luckily for the giants, they saw this coming from a mile away. So when Odin attempts to break the peace treaty, he would be cast out of Jotunheim, and the secrets would be kept safe. But even with all of that foresight, they did not see what was coming next. Having fully given in to his insanity, Odin would bring down his full wrath upon the frost giants, sending forth his son Thor to slay all of the giants that occupied Midgard. This wasn't a battle, this was a slaughter. Thor slayed all that stood before him, showing no mercy as giant after giant fell before him. This forced many of them to retreat back home, as the massacre shook the realm of Midgard. Faye, with the assistance of Tyr, would try to save all of the Jotuns they possibly could, as the giant serpent Jormungandr was able to hold off Thor. But in the end, the damage had been done, and a new era was born. With Odin on the warpath, Faye and the giants would cut themselves off from all outsiders, even sealing the gates and keys to Jotunheim with the assistance of Tyr. The Jotuns believed that the right thing to do was to build themselves back up again, and whilst they did have the right idea, preserving their remaining numbers, Faye would travel out of Jotunheim, as she still wished to assist her people that may have not made it to the gate in time. So Faye would travel to many different realms to assist the lost back home, or help them relocate to another world. During this journey, she would come across the dwarven brothers Brock and Sindri, the blacksmiths behind Thor's Mjolnir. Now, having felt partially responsible for the deaths of the Jotuns, as it was their creation that allowed Thor to do what he did, to somewhat fix the wounds they helped open, the brothers would forge the Leviathan Axe, a weapon that could be seen as Mjolnir's equal to protect the remaining frost giants. And what a better person to give it to than the Guardian of the Realm. The realm of the giants eventually reached a tipping point. Whilst it hasn't been well documented how they perished, whether that be from famine or disease, before they died, their ability of foresight allowed them to look into the future. And it's here where they learnt the prophecy of Ragnarok, and how it would be Faye that would initiate it. It was said that she was to meet a warrior from a faraway land and give birth to the child of prophecy, one that would bring on the end of Asgard and avenge the fallen. At first, the Jotuns tried to hold Faye back. With her being the last guardian, she had a duty to her people, but they all knew that deep down, that if Faye stayed, then they would all perish together. So, with this knowledge in mind, Faye would go forth and leave Jotunheim, journeying to Midgard to chase her future. And eventually, she would find the warrior from a lost land, Kratos. Now, it wasn't exactly a love at first sight sort of encounter. It was instead one exchanged in actions, not words. So the first time Faye and Kratos meet each other, they do battle each other, with Faye holding her own against the Spartan, possibly using this battle to know whether or not this was the man in the mural. Once the battle subsided, peace was made between the two, and in time, their relationship would blossom into love, with the pair settling down in Midgard and having a child, Atreus, or Loki as his mother would call him. Now, the following years were very quiet for the pair, as Faye had cast a magical ward around their home to hide her existence from the gaze of Odin. Kratos during this time is very distant from the two, choosing to instead spend his time in the woods, channeling and harnessing his anger from his past, a past that Faye would know of, as Kratos would confess to her who he was. And knowing of the path that lied ahead of her son and husband, she would encourage Kratos to do this, to grow stronger for what was coming next. Now, as Kratos fought, Faye decided to remain at home and raise Atreus. She had a very close relationship with the young boy, teaching him how to read, write, and hunt, even passing on her talon bow to him. Eventually, Faye's time would come, and she would pass, but not before performing one final act. Still having hid her identity from both Kratos and Atreus, she knew that she would have to help push them into the hands of fate. Thus, she would mark a tree in the woods to be cremated on, and finally have Kratos and Atreus take her ashes to the highest peak in all of the 9 realms, and let her be free. Whilst Faye is ashes during the story of the 2018 game, her dying wishes are ultimately what throws Kratos and Atreus on their journey to Jotunheim. Having the tree cut down is what reveals her identity to Odin, who in turn sends Baldur to their doorstep, mistaking even Kratos as a giant. Although she isn't active during the story, you see her gold markings throughout the landscape, marking how she knew each and every step of their journey and how it would unfold as they made their way to Jotunheim. So in the end, Faye's wishes are granted as the Guardian is returned back home and the prophecy is fulfilled, with Kratos and Atreus learning of her true heritage, how Faye was a giant and how Atreus was actually named Loki. The tale of Faye is beautifully tragic, as it is one of both loyalty and fate. It's very clear that she wants to do right by her people as well as her family. She knows what the future holds for them in Midgard, and the legacy she leaves behind is one that allows a son to connect to his father, something that was absent prior to the game. So her death is both a catalyst for the growth of Kratos and the fall of Asgard. There are so many little cogs in this story that are turning simultaneously that it kind of blinds us all to the bigger picture and the separate stories and narratives that each character goes through. With that being said, this has been it for the tale of Faye, the last guardian of Jotunheim. Now, whilst just yes. I've covered a significant portion of her story here. There are still so many gaps. So I'm very interested in God of War Ragnarok to see how things will unfold. What else will we learn about Faye? Only time will tell. But for now, stay strong, stay well, and keep on fighting as Ragnarok comes for us all. Take care everyone, see you soon.